We spend quite a lot of money, and we're immensely talented, obviously.
Of course.
But it's not really very different from the way we've always worked. We think up the ideas and we make a show about cars. The rest of it is sort of rather immaterial, where it's on, how you watch it, who's paying for it, and so on. We're largely left alone to do what we do best.
So what have you come up with for this series, then? What can we look forward to?
Ooh,
lots of travel.
There's a huge amount of travel, yes. And I don't really want to give too much of it away, because we've actually managed to keep some of it secret. But we go to Africa, America, I go to Mallorca, without getting pneumonia, remarkably.
Yes.
Which,
how is he?
Jeremy did.
There's nothing wrong with him, he's just making a lot of fuss about nothing.
OK.
I think he went on holiday and got a cold. You know. So, yeah, lots of travelling around, a bit of racing, a bit of tomfoolery, a bit of homemade stuff, everything you'd expect, really.
There was one particular thing that I was reading about, so this is out there, so we're not spoiling anything, but obviously won't give the result. But you were allowed to be slow. You were expected to be slow because it was the race from was it New York to Niagara Falls?
Yes.
And so, what mode of transport was everyone taking?
Well, without wishing to give too much away again, it's a classic. Should you take the car? Should you find some other means? I wasn't the slowest person on that challenge because Richard Hammond at that point was still on his crutches. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen the picture.
Oh, yeah.
So that was an interesting insight, if I can be very serious for a moment, about what it's like to travel with someone who is, albeit only temporarily, but disabled.
Yeah.
Because obviously I wasn't going to help him too much because that's the nature of our show. But what's remarkable is how little everybody else helped him
really,
as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, I found that very eye-opening.
Shocking. Good for a programme of yours to highlight something like that.
The team must have been, for the second time, Richard, you know, is in mortal peril. And the moment that happened, once again, it's sort of open mouths and horror. But how much footage did you get from the car?
Very little. Because obviously, fortunately, after he'd been pulled out of it, it caught fire, and that destroyed all the footage and all the little cameras. I mean, it was all completely melted. But more to the point, he had the crash after the finish line, so nobody was really filming that bit, because that's not normally where anything interesting happens. You slow down and park. So they're not very much, but there's enough for you to see that it's alarming.
Horrible, horrible.
It was really... I mean, you just saw the picture of the car afterwards. I mean, he's lucky
You were
enough to
virtually
get out
last
of
man standing at the end of that, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Quite literally standing, because he couldn't, and Jeremy was lying on a bed somewhere on a ventilator, so...
Oh, God, how awful. You did have your own moment, though. I think, were you in Colorado and you thought the brakes had failed at one point?
Oh, yes. Well, it's never clear with some cars. We're talking about an old car, I won't say what it is, but yes, the brake warning light can mean the pads are a bit low or all the pressure's gone, and I just didn't know. And if you're going downhill, it's... But
terrifying.
I mean, well, yeah, it wasn't quite terrifying, but it keeps you awake.
Yeah.
It keeps you alert, let's say that. But, you know, I was fine. I survived unscathed, as you can see.
And you never know when, because you were very light-hearted just a moment ago about Jeremy's terrible pneumonia and lung collapsing and all that sort of stuff. So I can never tell whether what you said is bravado or the truth. The chemistry works on the show. You say it's like a sitcom because we all hate each other.
Yeah, hate is probably a bit too strong a word, but there's constant needle. And I do think that is actually essential to a thing like that. I'm not going to use the word creative tension, the phrase creative tension, because that's a horrible cliche. But, you know, it's been true of a lot of TV shows, rock bands, that sort of thing, probably political parties. And remember, there are three of us, and three is very much a crowd on television. You must know that from what you do. You've got two. Two is lovely.
We see each other socially, and you
I'm
have said, you know, there's no you say there's no chance that we'll meet up outside of work. We don't mix.
No, it's very rare, but I've spent so much time with them by the time we get to the end of work. I have no real desire to spend any more with them. I have some other friends and a woman waiting for me at home who loves me, and that's just preferable.